Oh. Hey everyone, welcome to today's podcast. We're talking about how to deal with candy cravings, right? We got Halloween season's here, and so there's candy everywhere. How do you deal with it? I'll give you a couple strategies, and hopefully they'll help you. So the first thing I like to do is I like to look past the marketing. Right? A lot of candy cravings are because we're thinking about candy almost like children, and we're thinking about them as the advertising, the experiences we've had through our lives with them. You might remember back to when you were a kid, trick or treating, and it was how fun it was to come back and all that. So what ends up happening is we think of the candy primarily through these subconscious associations of fun, excitement, enjoyment, being youthful, being a kid, our kids, our grandkids, all this stuff here. And so we get caught up in the emotions and we primarily think about the candy through terms of our subconscious emotional attachments to them. And so we want to get past that, right? Because yeah, all those things are true or true, but they're also have a ton of sugar in them, a bunch of other stuff in them that's not really good for us. And if you're looking to lose weight, it can totally throw you off because once you start eating a lot of sugar, it throws everything off, right? You're getting that spike crash cycle where it's very difficult to stay in control of your eating. So how do you get through that? How do you actually break that trance, if you will? I think one of the best ways I've seen to do this is to start looking at the ingredients that are in the candy. So don't just get caught up on the packaging. I don't think I should say that when I like, 'cause I don't want to get in trouble legally. You can't say bad things about food. But let's just say I have to look through the orange packaging to find the ingredients. And what a awakening that is. Because when you start reading the ingredients, it kind of snaps you out of that trance and you start seeing lots of words you don't know how to pronounce, lots of different things that are in it, and you start seeing it for what it is. Again, it breaks that trance, and all of a sudden you can see what's actually in these candies, that it's not about childhood, it's not about kids, it's not about fun, enjoyment, all the rest of it. It's about, putting very unhelpful things into our bodies. And so if you want to take that a step further, you can even start to research what some of those ingredients are. And that can be very profound. Even sugar, when you see sugar, again, we see sugar sometimes, and understand there's 61 different names they use for sugar. Okay. Because again, legally you have to put the ingredient that has the highest quantity, you have to put first. And so what they'll do is they'll use 5 or 6 different types of sugars so that they can put sugar. It doesn't have to be first. All right. So just that's a little tip for you. But even sugar, if you go watch a 10-minute documentary on YouTube about what sugar does to your body, even that is going to help break you out of that trance a little bit. But you can look at some of these crazy words that are the ingredients in these candy bars, research them a little bit, see what they do, see what different dyes do to your body, see what some of these different emulsifiers and different processed food ingredients do to you. And again, this breaks that trance and it clarifies what you're doing, what you're putting into your body. And I think it makes it easier to say no to them. Okay. So that's one of my favorite techniques. Other strategies other than that, it's really kind of more holistic ones where when all of a sudden we're going to be tempted more, you can assume there's going to be just more candy in the environment. And so what you want to do is you want to kind of prevent the problem before it even happens. And one of the best ways to do this is really focus on the lifestyle habits of getting the sleep you need, hydrating yourself so that you're perfectly hydrated, relaxing more, breathing more so you're more calm and centered and able to make better choices, nourishing your body. Regardless of how much candy you eat, you still nourish your body. Move more, right? Get outside and go for a walk, get into nature, get that fresh air into your body, connect with outside. Meditation, ideally, quieting your mind down so that, again, you can stay connected to the ingredients as opposed to the marketing. And then finally, gratitude is always a nice one to kind of practice. Being grateful that, and again, different situations are different, but if you have kids, you can enjoy Halloween without having to eat a lot of candy. You can, enjoy a lot of things without having to eat the candy. And of course, I'm not saying you have to completely not eat the candy, but understand that if you do start eating candy, it's meant to be addictive. And so many a times I don't really eat much candy, but I allow myself to do it for a week during Halloween. And very regularly, I'll take the first bite of it and I'll say, this isn't even that good. 15 minutes later, I'm like, is there any more of that? And it's like that for the rest of the week. So again, even if you eat candy, pay attention to how it impacts you. Notice how it impacts your energy levels, your moods, your hunger, all of these things. Okay. So again, even if you do eat a lot of candy, utilize it and understand what effect it has on you. Because even that's a benefit. All right. So I hope all this stuff helps you out and you have a fun, enjoyable Halloween. But again, keep the candy under control. All right. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask them. I will give you my best swing at it. Here we are on a Friday. Hope everyone's having a nice Friday. I love Fridays, right? Who doesn't love Fridays? Right? Is it like that? Oh, look at that. Everyone loves a Friday. Me included. Oops. Getting some videos ready. I just made a bunch of videos for you all. Yeah. Whew. Oops. Trying to download some videos. Sorry, I'm a little distracted here. There it is. All right. Let's get these imported. There we go. All right. Now I'm focused. You helped me a lot get a better mindset related to food. Thank you. You're welcome. Donna? You're welcome. That's why I do this. Yeah, the mindset thing, right? It's all about mindset. It's the way we're thinking about it, right? Of course, there's tactics and strategies, but it's kind of like mindset, strategies, tactics. And what all diets are is just the tactic, right? And actually, that's a good, we're going to put it that way. I'm always thinking about, speaking of mindset, right? Like I am constantly working on, life's hard for me. I'll tell you my challenge in work and life is that, well, in work, this is a work one, but I've been coaching people and working with people for 20 years. And so it's like, it's easy for me to work with anyone. Like I could just get on the phone, Zoom call. I can talk to someone and help them right away. I find out what their specifics are, move it through. The challenge is finding ways to kind of take all that knowledge and put it into a usable form. So I think a lot about mindset because I think the concepts we have of things have a huge impact on how we approach them. Right. And so again, if we do keep this idea, like there's kind of a mindset, strategies, and then tactics, the diets are just tactics, right? Every diet is one tactic, right? Again, count your points. Don't eat for 16 hours. Don't eat carbs. Don't eat meat. Don't eat vegetables. I mean, it's just like, it's always one thing pretty much. Just eat Mediterranean food. It's literally always one thing. And again, that's because conceptually a tactic is this easiest thing to understand out of those, right? Out of mindset, strategy, tactic's the easiest thing to sell because your brain can say, oh, no carbs, I can do that. Right. The flip side of no carbs is I have to completely change how I eat, but no carbs sounds easy enough to understand. Right. And so it's never enough though. Right. This is why 95% of dieters never lose the weight long term. Right. They put the weight back on, even if they lose it, And so a lot of people walking around wanting to lose weight, unable to do it. And they think it's because there's something wrong with them. And I guess maybe technically there's something wrong, but the thing that's wrong is not you have no willpower or that there's something physically wrong with you that you can't change. It's usually a mindset piece. It's the way you're conceptualizing weight loss. And the big mindset of a dieter is that it's built around short term, right? Because you think of dieting and weight loss as a temporary thing. I'm going to eat this way. I'm going to follow this diet until I lose the weight. And so as soon as you start thinking about something temporarily as a short-term thing, that's not a good mindset because as soon as you think of it as a short-term temporary thing, well, then it's easy to be like, well, I don't give a shit what I got to do. I just want to lose the weight. So fine. I'll do 1,200 calories. Fine. No carbs. Fine. And we can do extreme things because in our mind, we say, oh, it's just for a little while. I can do this for a couple months, just to lose the weight. But what you have to understand is your goal is not to lose the weight. Right? That's not the main goal here is not to lose the weight. The main goal is to get to your goal weight and live the rest of your life at your goal weight on near autopilot. That's the real goal. And they're not the same. Please understand that. Okay. Because ultimately here, most people are walking around with, you got two mindsets in your head, most likely. You've got an overweight mindset, right? So if you're not paying attention, you're not just kind of going about your life, the way you naturally eat and live, your weight's high. It's not where you want it to be. Okay. But you don't need to do anything. You just kind of live in life doing what you do and your weight stays high. Right. And that's your overweight mindset. And then you got your diet mindset, and your diet mindset is when you go all in, right? And you're strict with calories, eating, whatever. And so you got these two mindsets: overweight, diet, overweight, diet, overweight, diet. And let's just say you diet all the way down to your goal weight. Well, the problem still remains. You still got two mindsets: overweight and diet. So what do? You can't keep dieting. You can't keep cutting, watching the scale go down, because the scale stops. So what do you do here? And what most people do is they go back to their overweight mindset. And I think the big problem is you never learn how to create a thin and healthy mindset in that process. Some people you can go through your whole life without learning how to create a thin and healthy mindset. So I think that's the name of the game. And I think that'll start to get you the results you're looking for, and it's inspiring because, it's just a different approach. You keep doing the same approach, we don't realize it. Talk more about consumption versus consequence. Can't hear it enough. Yeah, for sure. That's the big thing. Like, as in terms, like, what I'm always looking at, like, I'm a hypnotist, but I don't just rely on hypnosis. I want to make that clear. Hypnosis is it's a tool, and it's definitely got its place. Program Yourself then's really got three more core components. There's hypnosis, there's self-hypnosis, and there's your weight mastery blueprints that you create and follow and optimize. So I think hypnosis is really good in understanding how your mind works. And again, it has a place to kind of impact you. Anyways, the reason I said that is because subconsciously what happens is we live in an environment, and specifically you've seen millions and millions and millions of food ads in your life. Every single food ad there's three phases of eating: anticipation, consumption, consequence. And so every single food ad you see and have seen in your life is always fixated and focusing you on the anticipation and the consumption of the food, right? Watch every food ad. Every food ad is the food coming towards you, the person getting ready to eat it, and then eating it. That's it, right? They never show the consequence of, like, the empty wrapper, the person sitting on the sofa, blah. They never show the consequence. And so you have been conditioned to think about food, anticipation, and consumption. That's it. And so let's just say there's a food you're kind of struggling with. Let's just say cookies. So you're struggling with cookies, and it's 8 o'clock. And say, I'm on a diet. I don't want to eat well today. 8 o'clock comes, and you're like, I want some cookies. Well, the way you're subconsciously thinking about those cookies is you're thinking about getting them and eating them. That's it. And when you think about the anticipation and consumption of something, because here's something interesting about your brain: you actually have more wiring in your brain for the anticipation of pleasure than the actual experience, the wiring for the experience of pleasure, right? Because think about this. You evolved in a food scarce environment where it was more important to have motivation to get the food, right? Once you got the food, it's easy to eat it. The motivation is to go get it. So anyways, when you think about whatever food you're struggling with, you're thinking about the anticipation and the consumption of it. And that's driving the desire for it up. That's increasing the craving for it. But what you're never trained to do is to think about what's the consequence. Now, the consequence you do think about is, well, I don't want to eat the cookies because I don't want to put weight on. But that consequence is very ineffective, because that consequence is out in the future somewhere. And so your brain says, you know what? I'll just start my plan tomorrow, and then that won't matter. Okay. So that consequence doesn't work because it's too far in the future. You need to focus on the consequence 5 minutes after I finish eating. How am I going to feel physically, mentally, and emotionally? This is the secret. As you start to train yourself, as you start to program your subconscious mind to start focusing on the consequence when you're going to make a food decision, something magical happens. Because let's go back to those cookies. And so you look at the cookies, and instead of just saying, and we acknowledge it too, that's the interesting part. We're not trying to hide from the cravings. We say, oh, cookies, that's exciting that I might eat them, and they'll taste good. Definitely. No doubt. However, how will I feel 5 minutes after I finish them? That's interesting, because we're not using willpower here. We may be using willpower to remind ourselves to think about the consequence, but that's it. Because usually what you're doing is you're thinking about anticipation and consumption. You're cranking up the desire, and then you're expecting yourself to use your willpower to fight against that increased desire. How's that working for you? All right. So what I'm saying here is a strategic approach to dealing with this, where you think, how am I going to feel 5-10 minutes after I finish? Mentally, emotionally, physically. Now we can start with physicals. That's usually what you focus on. And so maybe you'll feel full. Maybe you'll feel kind of lethargic. Maybe you'll feel, roller coaster, spike crash, maybe. Okay. Whatever you're going to feel physically, that's good to start with. But the real focus is on the mental and emotional piece. That's really where things get interesting. And what I mean by mentally is I'm talking about what you're thinking about, right? You've got this internal dialogue in your head, right? You're always talking to yourself. What are you saying to yourself? What are you thinking about yourself after you've eaten the cookies, after you've eaten the ice cream, the chips, the pizza, whatever? When you want to lose weight and you go and eat the thing that you know is going to prevent you from losing weight, 5 minutes after you finish, what are you saying to yourself? Is it positive? Is it encouraging? Is it saying, oh, that's all right? Or is it really mean? Do you think of yourself as being overweight? Do you think you're never going to do this? Do you say mean stuff to yourself? Okay. And then there's the emotional piece. How do you feel emotionally after you've eaten the cookies, the ice cream, the pizza, all that stuff? Do you feel discouraged, frustrated, guilty, ashamed, sad, pissed at yourself, mad? You see? So we're not bullshitting ourselves anymore. You got to stop the bullshit. You got to stop bullshitting yourself. And you need to really understand how your brain works. This is how you really change your weight. You need to be able to change your behaviors. And willpower is not good for changing behaviors long term. Changing how you naturally and automatically think about things is. Okay. And so as you start to focus on the consequence, what ends up happening typically is the craving starts to go down. So yeah, it tastes good, but I don't like feeling like shit. I don't want to feel like shit when I go to bed tonight. I don't want to wake up tomorrow and be like, oh, I ate the cookies again. Oh, another day, that I'm not moving the direction I want to go in. I'm tired of feeling sad and frustrated with myself. I'm tired of beating myself up in my head. I don't want it anymore. To put it metaphorically, right? Again, it's like if every time you ate cookies or ate the wrong food that makes you keep the weight on and prevents you from losing weight, if I showed up and whacked your thumb with a hammer, how many times would that happen before you say, you know what? I think I'm going to skip the cookies, right? So that's just a metaphor. That's always not going to happen, but it's virtually the same level of pain if you really connect into it. Thanks, Don. Yeah, TGIF, right? So that becomes a core process that I help my clients really install, is to start focusing on the consequence of what they're going to do the short term, 5 minutes after I finish eating. And that's a very, very effective strategy. Okay. So if you have not tried that, you should give it a shot, because you're not relying on willpower anymore. Do you see the game you're in and why you've been losing? You're subconsciously creating cravings, and then you're trying to fight them consciously with your willpower, and that's not a good strategy at all. Kimmy says, I've trained myself too well. Food repulses me now. Eat very little, enough to function. Yeah, I've trained myself too well. Food repulses me now. Eat very little, enough to function. Yeah, I guess you got to be careful. Most people don't have that far of a problem, but yeah, but I mean, you can train yourself all sorts of things. That's the beauty of understanding your mind works, and it can make it a lot easier. It takes about 2 weeks to train, then you don't want it. Yeah. Sometimes it takes a little more, it's different for each person. I think that's important to remember. I think with weight loss, that's the most important thing to remember is, I don't know. It's like people always think there's one solution to things, and it's like, that drives me crazy, because there's clearly not one solution to things. There's 7 billion people on the planet, there's multiple solutions and responses to things, and I like that idea, because it's going to be curative for you, because you keep going into these diets as if it's I'm going to do keto. That's going to fix everything. Spoiler alert. No, it's not. You got to stop measuring the weight loss effectiveness by how fast it makes you lose weight, and start looking at measuring your weight loss plan effectiveness by how long you're able to keep the weight off for. Right? You've got to reorient yourself. That's the biggest shift you need to make in your thinking out of anything, mindset wise. You've got to stop with the fucking, I just want to lose weight. I just want to lose weight. I just want to lose weight. That you should banish that thought. It's bullshit. And it's keeping you stuck in this hamster wheel. Your obsession with fast weight loss, how much weight you lost this last 6 months, last year, last 5 years. I mean, if you did, great, obviously, right? But if you haven't, I'm telling you, that's a core reason why you're not, and so instead, make this process easier. Approach it like you're going to practice and get better at it. That's the secret. Keto's bad for your kidneys. I mean, keto's bad for all sorts of things. I get people are desperate. Like, I understand that, but you've got to stop the desperation. That's the first thing you got to change, is relax. You don't make good decisions when you're desperate, when you're in a stressed out state. The first thing you got to do is calm down and relax so you can think more clearly, and then you can make this whole process easier. Make small, strategic, systematic changes to what you're doing that last and they get good at, Yes, the faster you lose it, the faster you put it back on, and then some. Yeah, I know, right? So it's like everyone knows that and they keep doing it. I know why, though. I think it's because people literally, there's a vacuum of, well, what else do I do? What do I do if I don't diet? What do I do? the diet's been so effective in marketing that it's like people can't even separate weight loss from dieting at this point, you know? Pam says it all starts in your head, mental attitude. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's all in your head. I mean, it's all in your head. And no one's ever teaching you how to deal with your head, though, right? Kimmy says 700 calories and walk 2 miles a day, lost 40 pounds in 3 months, drink lots of water. Dang. Well, that's pretty intense. So I hope you keep that up, Kimmy. That's a challenge, right? Because again, we can do extreme things to lose the weight because we trade the pleasure of the food for the pleasure of the scale going down. But at some point, the scale stops going down and that pleasure fades away. And you say, okay, what am I hanging my pleasure on now? We all need to have pleasure. Our brain is a pleasure-seeking mechanism. So you're going to need to give it some form of pleasure and progress and growth and things to look forward to. And for a lot of people, once the weight stops going down, that's why they put the weight back on. Is, well, now I don't have the weight loss going down. Now I don't have the food. I don't know. So people can do crazy things in service of that scale going down. You get really addicted to that. But at some point, the scale stops going down. You say, well, what's going to motivate me now? What I always suggest, that's why I always suggest take your weight loss, wrap it in personal development. So the real goal isn't weight loss. That's not the main goal. The main goal is being the best version of yourself possible. And one aspect of that is you being at your weight. But when you make it about personal development, it never ends. I sit in front of you. I've been the same way for 30 years. But I look forward to like each and every day I get better at my eating, my lifestyle, my health, my mindset, and in service of better relationships with my kids, do more fun things, my business, running that, relationship with my wife. So the important stuff in my life is always getting better because of my health, how I'm eating, how I'm living. And so I'm always looking forward to it. I said, wow, where am I going to be next year at this time? 5 years from now, where am I going to be? It's exciting for me. So my pleasure is connected to my personal development, my growth, my evolution as a human, not to the weight loss, you see, because at some point the weight loss stops. So it's just something to think about, right? I used to suppress all my emotions, which led to emotional eating. Yeah, Don, I get that. That's a huge thing. That's why I always say to people, like, don't stop your emotional eating. Understand it. Seek to understand your emotional eating. What are you eating for? We're emotional eating. We're eating to feel an emotion or to not feel an emotion. And we want to get specific because you have different emotional eatings. We can't lump it into one category. Sometimes you're emotional eating because you're stressed and you need to relax for a minute. Sometimes you're emotional eating because you're feeling lonely and the food makes you feel a sense of comfort and connectiveness, So we want to understand the specifics of why we're emotional eating. What emotions are we looking to feel? What emotions are we looking to not feel? And then we would ask the questions, how can I genuinely deal with this emotional level? And once we figure that out, the eating piece is much easier to tackle, Kimmy says 10 more pounds to go. Nice job. Esther says, after 8 weeks, PYT training, are you still a member? Yeah, Astrid, you forever have membership in that. You have access to the membership site forever. And I'm constantly updating the program, getting ready to do another update, before the new year. So you'll have access to that. You won't have access to the live calls. There is an option to continue if you choose to, I'll let you know about that when you get close to the end. So if you want to continue with live calls, there's a plan for that. But you'll always have access to the membership. And if you ever want like me to restart your hypnosis sessions for you, I can do that as well. I do that for people all the time. So I'll put you through that as many times as you want. No problem. Pleasure of saving money on food. Yeah, right. That's very interesting. And that rarely comes up with people. And I think about that all the time because I don't eat the bullshit food and I haven't in a long time. Like, I don't mean bullshit food. I mean like processed food. I really don't eat much processed food. And so I got kids now and my philosophy was I let them eat the bullshit, not crazy, but I let them eat it because I want them to learn how to manage it, right? How to moderate it. I don't want to keep them completely free from it. And then, they get older and they eat it and now they don't know how to handle it. So, but my point being is, when I was eating that stuff, a bag of chips was, a personal bag of chips was $1, right? And now it's like $2-3, right? I used to get every afternoon, I would get like a candy, either a candy bar, a bag of candy and potato chips and a drink. Right. And it'd be like $3-4 maybe. That whole thing now, like I'll bring them to the convenience store. They get some stuff. I don't let them get all that shit. I'll let you get one thing. But even if they both get one thing, it's going to be $5-6, $7. What? You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe I'm just cheap, but it's like, man, people spending a lot of money on calories. It's a lot of money to stay overweight nowadays with inflation, right? I mean, am I crazy with that? That's just, I don't know. Nobody talks about that. Like, oh, Jim, your program is really expensive. Oh, well, what are you spending a month on food? What are you spending to eat all those calories? It seems like a lot to me. Oh, healthy food is expensive. No, it's not, because it may seem expensive, but you eat less of it. Think about it. These processed foods are designed for you to overeat them. They're very unsatisfying because they want you to eat as much of them as possible. When you eat real natural foods, it sustains you a lot longer. You ever eat like a bag of chips and you're hungry an hour later? It's very specifically made. But yeah, you're right. Yeah, McDonald's combo is like $12 now. Oh my God. I remember in college, it was like, and I don't know if they still do this, but they would do, this was like a friggin' holiday for me, like a religious holiday. I mean, it was like, they would have, they would do it a couple times a year. They would do 2 for $2. It was 2 chicken sandwiches for $2. I would go and get 4 sandwiches, and it was like, oh my God, $12 for a McDonald's combo. Yeeks. $12 for McDonald's combo. I spend about $25 a week on my lunch salads. So get out of here with that food. Healthy food's expensive. Bullshit. Bullshit. Do not believe that. Right. And that's not even taking into account all the medical bills, you know what I mean, that you'll probably end up having, so very interesting. $12. Good Lord. Thank you a lot. I'm so happy I found you. No one explains it to the root as you do it. Thank you, Don. I appreciate you saying that. I like to think that too. I know that for a fact. I was, yeah, it's true. It's true. By the way, if anyone's here that's not on my email list, make sure you do that. Yeah, I say this, but my mission in life is to help as many people as possible live at your goal weight. And for me, again, this is much more than just wanting to look good in a bathing suit. For me, this is life and death. My dad died at 54 of a heart attack. So I frame weight loss as a very, very, very serious thing. And I'm dedicated to helping you. And again, I have a coaching program. You can work with me directly, but I will also help you for free. And I want you to know that. And so, but you got to take some action. You go to my bio, you click the link, you answer like 4 questions, and I give you a hypnosis session called The New Thin Me. It's a kickstart session. And more importantly, though, is it takes a couple minutes to send you. I bring this page where it's 3 steps to master your weight. Watch that training. It's about a half hour, but it'll change the way you think about weight loss. And then I email you every day, encouraging positive, supportive things. So as soon as you take the minute of action to sign up, I'm in your life as long as you want me and helping you. You know what I mean? Like helping you in a comfortable, easy way. I just made a video. Like if you do things correctly, weight loss will be one of the most enjoyable things you ever do. And I know what? You can't believe it, right? But it's like, it literally is, imagine your life. See, it's so crazy because the diets are so miserable that you can't see past them, right? But let's just get rid of diet because, like, again, I was just saying this, that diets have infected our thinking. We can't think about weight loss without thinking about dieting at this point. It's been one of the most effective marketing campaigns in the history of the planet, is that we literally think it's like Xerox, right? You think like a copier, you just call it a Xerox. You think of a tissue, you call it a Kleenex, right? So you think about weight loss, you think about a diet. Well, that's not, there's copiers. There's other kinds of copiers, there's other kinds of Kleenexes, like tissues. I can't even think of the word, right? There's other kinds of the tissues, and there's other kinds of ways to lose weight without a diet. And so as soon as you flick the fucking diets away and open up to, oh, well, what is it, Jim? Well, you're never going to believe it, but it's an approach where we come up with a smart strategic approach. Well, what's a smart strategic approach? It's funny. I was just talking to someone about this. This was one of the funnest conversations I had in a while. One of my clients. And we made this point because, I'm going to talk about this. She does rodeo. Okay. So she you do the lasso and you lasso the calf or whatever. And so I was saying, okay. And she goes, I'm gonna teach my son how to do it too. And I said, okay, how did you teach your son? Did you just, explain it to him, show him, and then expect him to do it perfect? Well, no, of course not. He does it. He tries it. I give him little pointers. Oh, okay. Well, but weight loss, what are you going to do? Well, yeah, weight loss start day 1. I know what to do. I just need to do it,? And so you're never approaching your weight loss like something you're going to get better at. You just think, oh, I know, no carbs. So tomorrow's Monday, no carbs. I'm just going to do it perfectly. No practice necessary. And I'm not blaming you for this. You've been infected with this way of thinking, but it's fucking goofy. What else in your life can you just do on day 1 and just do it perfectly? Other than weight loss. Weight loss, apparently you can do that, right? It's never worked for you. You don't know anyone it's worked for, but you somehow believe that you should be able to just start tomorrow, Monday, and be perfect with your new eating plan. No mistakes necessary. It's weird. And so what if you do change your thinking on it? What if you do start to realize, oh, okay, let me start working at this. Let me get better at thinking like a thin, healthy person, living like a thin, healthy person, creating the strategies, the choices, the options, so that it's easy, natural, fun. And instead of overwhelming myself by jumping straight into a plan and being perfect with it, let me just work on something that's manageable, that doesn't overwhelm me, something I can stick with day after day, week after week, month after month. So that next year at this time, not only am I 40, 50 pounds down, but I have learned to live this way. So now I'm set up to live at this weight forever. You never think that way, do you? Do you? No, it's just always like this sprint to lose the weight as quick as possible. Right. And it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. What do you want? Because veggies are good, but potatoes and tomatoes are inflammatory, for information. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. People say that, but I don't buy it. But to each his own. Again, I think this is so important. Again, I think with your meal plan, this is a program yourself. Then you create 3 weight mastery blueprints: a mindset blueprint, lifestyle blueprint, eating blueprint, or roadmap, whatever you want to call it. And you fill it out with I always joke, like I could put a diet out, Jim's diet, right? And I'd just be like what I eat all week. And I'd sell the shit out of it, which makes me mad because no one would do it. That's why I don't do it. You know what I mean? Because just because I eat this way doesn't mean you are. You're not me. You don't like the same foods I like. You don't live my lifestyle. You're not me. So there are some best practices when it comes to food, but the best practice of all is to customize and create your meal plan around you, your genetics, your preferences and likes, your lifestyle, right? This idea that someone you've never met and that's never met you is going to give you a meal plan that you're going to follow forever is so crazy, right? Would you let me tell you what songs to listen to, what music to listen to, what movies to watch, what clothes to wear? Would you? No, of course not. Why not? Because you're a human being and you've got your own preferences and likes, right? But when it comes to weight loss, that all goes out the window and just tell me what to do. Why? You're not going to do it. You're not going to do it. You haven't done it, right? It's crazy. Not to mention DoorDash and Uber Eats. Oh my God, $20 for fast food. I know. My God, I know this kid, and it's like he got DoorDash, and I was like, how much was that? And it was just like I don't know. It's so fun. I'm out of the loop with that stuff. I never get that stuff. And yeah, it was like 20, $25. I was like, holy shit. I don't know. That's so crazy to me. I'm cheap with the food. I don't want to spend a lot of money. I mean, like, go to a fancy dinner. That's one thing, but I don't like spending a lot of money on food. I like keeping it simple and eating like healthy, nourishing, natural food. That's why that idea, like, oh, healthy food's expensive. No, listen, I know there's some people have a hard time accessing it. I understand that. And I understand it can seem unhealthy when you look at like organic apples compared to like regular apples, right? But what I'm talking about is brown rice, vegetables. That's just not expensive. I do it all the time. I mean, when I go to the supermarket, my bill is rarely, I'm a family of 4. Where regularly it's like $30, $40 for just like a medium-sized thing. And then I see the other person is like $100. Now we're vegetarian too. Okay. That doesn't hurt. We eat fish sometimes, but it's mostly vegetables, beans, rice, greens, fruit. And guess what? It's way cheaper than all the other bullshit because you know what I mean? Like someone will go, oh, organic apple versus regular apple. So organic's way more. Okay. Yeah, but that's not what we're comparing. Let's compare the organic apple to you going to McDonald's, to you eating a bag of chips. So how much is like, I don't know, 3 apples? Maybe it cost you $2.50. Maybe it cost you $3 for 3 apples. Right? How much was your bag of chips? If you got a big bag of chips, that's $5, $6. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't give me that. Don't come at me with that. No way. No way is healthy food more than the other bullshit. I spent about $30 for my salads a week. Yep. I love adding burrata cheese. It's pricey. Yeah, exactly. That's smart, Dawn. Again, Dawn's smart. She's been around the block here with us. She's been listening to me for a while here. And that's one of my core strategies, the salad one, but yeah, the salads, the most nourishing, satisfying, healthy thing you can eat. And it's relatively nickels and pennies compared. You tell me what you're paying $5 a day for lunch. You tell me what you're eating for $5 a day. That's not healthy. That's cheap though, because I can't afford healthy stuff. Let me know. Let me know in the comments what you're spending $5 a day for lunch on. You let me know. Come on. I dare you. But I made a video about it. You can go to my thing there. I made a longer video. I kind of cut it down for TikTok, but when I originally made this video where I was like, I show you how to make my salads every week. But I also, I did the price. It was like $25 then before inflation. I think I made that. And it takes me 7 minutes a week to do it. But yeah. So yeah, the cheese you spend a little extra on, so it's $30, right? Stay away from gluten. That causes a lot of issues. Mm, maybe for some people, right? Do you believe that it's okay to eat unhealthy foods occasionally or not at all? I think it's really important to eat unhealthy foods regularly. So let me explain what I mean. In Program Yourself thing, kind of the core eating philosophy. Now I say philosophy because this is a loose structure, but what I like to what I share with people is a 5-2 plan. 5 days of clean eating, 2 days of pleasure eating. Now, for some people, that's a little overwhelming to start. So maybe they'll start 2 days of clean eating, 5 days of pleasure eating, right? It doesn't matter. We all start where we start. But the idea is that we've got to structure our eating. We've got to put frames around when we want to eat clean, when we're going to eat for pleasure. And it's so important, Bo. There's so much psychology packed into this philosophy, but I'll share a little bit with you. The first thing is that most of our enjoyment of food is based on anticipation of it. Okay. And so me having like tonight's Friday, right? So I'm excited for what I'm going to eat tonight. I'm excited what I'm going to eat tomorrow and on Sunday. And so a lot of my week, I'm looking forward to what I'm going to eat on the weekend. Which makes it a lot easier for me to eat clean during the week. Do you understand? Because a lot of your pleasure, again, you have more wiring in your brain for the anticipation of pleasure than the actual pleasure you get out of actually eating. So a lot of my week, I'm looking forward to what I'm going to eat during the weekend, and while I'm eating for fuel, eating cleanly. And so I think the fastest way you could throw me off track with my eating would be to say, okay, from now on, you just always eat clean. I would feel deprived, I would freak out, and I would start eating shitty food. Okay. So it's very important for me to have that experience. Now, I could go a lot deeper in this, and I don't want to do that right now. But another piece of this puzzle that's really important is when you start to intentionally eat for pleasure. Okay. Because this is really important. Everyone freaks out. Say, oh my God, I'm going to do all the good work I did. No, you're not. Because what you're going to do for the first time in your life probably is you're going to start to learn how to eat for pleasure. Imagine if one of the core ideas you were using to master your weight was, how can I get the most pleasure possible out of the food? What a weird question, right? Because in your mind, you've always assumed that the most pleasure out of the food is eating the most of it, that I'll just keep eating it. I don't think that's true. I think how you get the most pleasure out of food is when you eat the food you really love to eat at your goal weight, is what I think. And so this pleasure day thing, what people typically do is they go overboard with it initially, but then they learn how to eat for pleasure. And that is a magical moment for a lot of people, because for you're all or nothing. And so if you eat one cookie, you eat the whole bag, And so we need to work on that. We need to heal your relationship with food by realizing that, again, what's driving the engine that drives my whole eating plan is, honestly, it's Friday and Saturday nights primarily. I love those dinners. Saturday night, I'll eat a ton of pasta. I love pasta. And so, I've gotten strategic with how I'm pleasure eating. So yes, I'm eating more than I typically do. I'm eating more carbs than I typically do. But it's within, you have to look at the big picture, and the big picture makes me really happy. So I feel no deprivation. I love the way that I eat. It feels like a nice balance. I love fueling myself when I'm fueling myself. And I love eating for pleasure when I'm eating for pleasure, because I'm enjoying the food and there's no guilt. There's no shame. I'm eating it like, it just feels good. I figured it out, So that's what I always want for everyone. But so I think that is important. Read labels that will take away your appetite. Yeah, for sure. All the chemicals make us fat. Yeah, for sure, Kimmy. That is true. It is true. Like I was just saying that with the candy, one of the best ways through the candy cravings is to start reading the ingredients in them, because it snaps you out of the marketing trance. When we think about the candy, what's happening is we're going into a trance because we're thinking back to when we were kids at Halloween, or eating candy when we were kids. Our kids, they're eating candy. We have all these associations to candy of youthfulness and fun and all this stuff. And we don't want to be making decisions based on those feelings. We want to make decisions based on reality. And again, you still eat. Sometimes you eat for those things, but again, it's most of the time that you want to make decisions based on what you're putting in your body, and that'll help. Hard around holidays, lots of food. Yeah. Again, I mean, in the program, we have a holiday mode. I think holiday, again, you see what I mean? Like the diets are all or nothing. And so I always joke, like, Program Yourself, then I always joke about this, that it's probably the only weight loss plan you'd start on a Friday. Right. And I joke about that because no one starts a diet on a Friday, right? They start on the Monday after they've overeaten all weekend. And so the reason I can do that is because Program Yourself is not built around perfection. It's built around long-term control over your eating. And so even holiday mode, we kind of call it like minimizing the damage. Vacation mode, holiday mode. Holiday mode's a little different because it's usually a little longer lasting. But we want to have different phases for different situations. So yeah, holiday mode, you might eat a little more than you typically do. And that's an okay thing, because what your weight comes down to ultimately is how you eat consistently over time. And so holiday eating, you can strategize and work it so that you can eat the food you like and enjoy them and still master your weight. You might put a couple pounds on, and you might do that with your eyes open and do it intentionally, which isn't a problem. It's when we get way off track that's the problem. If that makes sense. You're so right. I always had the mindset either eat 100% healthy or not at all. Yeah, Donna, that's so many people do, and program yourself in is all or something. That's the key, because you are all or nothing. And what you're doing most of the time is you're nothing. Again, your nothing is your automated behaviors, right? You've been subconsciously programmed to be overweight at this point, if you're overweight, because all of your eating and all your lifestyle habits are really automated behaviors, like brushing your teeth, right? You don't have to think about it, you just do it. And you're eating, I keep wheezing. What's going on? And so all your eating behaviors are automated. And so what you're trying to do is you're trying to consciously control those, which is very difficult. So what we want to do is we want to program in new behaviors. And one of them, again, so the nothing is when just your automated behaviors, when you're just living life, doing what you do. And then your all mode is when you go into diet mode, And so you do this for a little bit, and then you go back to doing nothing, and nothing ever changes. So what we want to do is we want to really focus on being all or something. But yeah, you can be all when you want to be it, fine, but more importantly, we want to go from nothing to something. And when you start with that mindset, what happens over time is that little something becomes a little more something, a little more something. You start building on the something. And sometimes you go all, and then that jumps up a little more. And then you go back to something, and then you build on the something, build on the something, build on the something. Next thing you know, holy shit, I lost the weight, and I don't even know how I did it. That's what I always hear from my clients. That's my favorite thing on the planet. Dawn's like this. Dawn's here. I don't know if she's still here, because she's been around listening to me for a year. And I think her story is very interesting. It's what no one wants to hear, but I'm going to say it anyways. She had lost weight, I believe. I believe she was kind of slowly losing some weight, but then maybe it's 8, 9 months, 10 months into it, September, she lost a bunch of weight. You don't even know, folks, you're just so fixated on short-term weight loss that you never even consider what happens over 6 months, over a year, over 2 years, when you're consistently eating healthier, living healthier. That's where the real magic happens, because there's a thing called epigenetics. You're not, like, we think of genetics as like this hard code. That's what you are. That's not true. There's a part of it that's that, but a lot of your genetics are epigenetics that can change based on what food you're putting in your body, how you're living. And you can literally, every 7 years, you're all new cells. You know what I mean? And so this epigenetic thing is fascinating. It starts to change some of your code, you know what I mean? How you operate. And it's just amazing what you can, the changes you can make when you start thinking longer term. And it's like this with everything, folks. I mean, don't you do anything like, if you play an instrument, if you do any sort of skill, I was telling the lady that did rodeo, if you go to college, anything that you've done longer term, there's no way you could have learned college in 6 months. There's no way you could have learned how to do the dancing that you do that that you've been doing for years. There's no way you could have gotten to that level that you're at now in 6 months, in 3 months, right? If you play any sports, you play golf, there's no way you could be as good as golf now, in 2 months, right? But when it comes to weight loss, you just expect what? You know what I mean? Like, you have no sense of personal development, growth, evolution, transformation. You don't really, there's no aspect of that in your weight loss. It's just you staying the same, and now I'm going to eat different. I know what I got to do. I just need to do it. I'm just going to force like, what? Well, what the fuck? You've tried this. You've tried this 50 times and it hasn't worked. Why would it work now? Like, what? You know what you need to do? Do you? Do you? What? Why do you believe that? You haven't been able to do it. So why do you think you need to know? You have a vague idea that you shouldn't eat carbs. You have this vague idea, I should eat 1,200 calories. That's like saying, I've never played the piano, but it looks pretty easy. All I got to do is hit the right keys at the right time in the right order. Simple. I know how to do it. I just got to get myself to do it. Easy. Right? Now, if someone said that, you'd be like, you're a goofball. You're a goofy. Get out of here. Right? But with dieting, if you don't say that, you're weird. It's bizarro world. Is it not? I mean, am I just the only one thinks it's bizarre world? It's not. I don't blame you for this. I get out of here a second. Go to my daughter's school for a second. What do you think about? What do you think about protein powder and shakes? I don't like them. I don't like them. 1 second. Oops. Yeah. So I just don't like protein powders and shakes. Now, listen, everything's relative. So if you're, yeah, so everything's relative. So if you're eating McDonald's and trash and you switch over to protein shakes, okay, But again, ultimately, is that what you want? You do want to drink protein powders and shakes for the rest of your life? That's the question. If it's not something you want to do long term, I just don't understand the point of it, you know. Um, but anyways, it's norm to our kids. Scary DoorDash. Yeah, you're totally right. Yeah, DoorDash is tough, right? Because it's just right there. Why not? They make it easier and easier. That sucks. That's me. Fish and veggies, way to go. Yep. Is rice clean eating better than bread? Yeah, I believe it is. And again, it depends on the rice, right? So it's like brown rice is better than white rice. White rice is better than sushi rice, which is a white rice, but it's a different version of it. What do you eat in the weekend on your pleasure days? On my pleasure days, I eat strategically. So like on the morning, like on a Saturday morning, I'll probably have like a bagel sandwich with egg, avocado, whatever. And because I don't really like refined carbs during the week, flour stuff during the week much. And so I'll eat that. And then, maybe I'll have a donut, maybe I'll have a muffin, maybe a croissant pretty regularly. Then I won't eat. And then I'll have dinner. And then dinner, I've optimized this now. So I never really like to say what I eat because people say, oh, I'm going to do that. But I worked up to this. You understand? So with the Saturday night, I'll eat like pasta and clams, red sauce. I eat a lot of broccoli first. Sometimes I'll make garlic bread. I'll eat some of that. And then I'll have a dessert. That's typically what I'll eat. Hey, just want to pop in and say thank you for helping me get rid of the scarcity mindset. Well, you're welcome, Elijah. I'm really happy to help you. That's what I'm doing this for. So that's awesome. Great job listening. Thanks for listening. I lost weight so much quicker when I honored my hunger and fullness rather than restricting so much. Yeah, that's super. I'm gonna screenshot that. I always love you guys' success stories here. Yeah, that's super. All right, I'm gonna get out of here. Gotta go. Thank you so much, guys. This has been great. You guys are awesome as usual. If you're not in my world, go to my bio, click the link, and get the hypnosis session I give you. Watch the training I give you right after it. They're all free. Okay. Let me just show you a better way. These lives are good, but let me. They'll be more powerful when you watch the training 3 Steps to Master Your Weight, because you'll have more of a conceptual understanding of what I'm talking about. It'll be more meaningful and more helpful with you mastering your weight. All right. So yeah, have a great day. We'll talk soon. Bye.